name is Natalie. Today I wanted to do a book tag, and it's going to be the last one for the year. It's going to be the last video for the year because today is New Year's. It is the last day of the year. Today I'm going to do the book Postscript tag that was created by Adam from Nevermoor, and I was tagged by Amy Anders. Both of their channels will be linked in the description, and it sounded like a lot of fun, so let's get on to the questions. The first question is the longest book you read this year and the book that took you the longest to finish. So the longest book that I've read this year I've already mentioned in my favorites video, and it is Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. This is obviously a beast of a book. I think it's about 1,200. Yeah, 1,200 pages. It is not actually the book that took me the longest to read this year. That goes to Bill Evans' How My Heart Sings by Peter Pettinger, and this is a biography that I started reading for Nonfiction November and finished the 21st of December, so it took me almost 2 months to read this. And the reason for it is partly that the way that I read it, I wanted to be able to listen to all of the music that was mentioned, at least Bill Evans' music. There's a lot of other musicians included as well. Part of it is that it's very dense and sometimes almost tedious to read, but it's very interesting. So after finishing it, I felt like I couldn't necessarily recommend this as a biography for just anyone. If you're super interested in Bill Evans, then I think you will gain a lot out of it, but it's not necessarily a good book for someone with a passing interest in his work or in jazz music. I think it is very detail oriented, and that is the reason it took me such a long time to read. The second question is a book you read in 2018 that was outside your comfort zone, and I went with 7 Brief Lessons of Physics, which is a nonfiction book about physics. I've mentioned I think a few times now that physics is a part of nonfiction that I really want to get into and read more about, but I haven't up to this date, and so this was definitely sort of a new field for me to read about, and physics is also something that I don't know much about. I don't even have the basics, sort of the foundation within this field, so reading this book was definitely out of my comfort zone. And in general, I haven't read a lot of science-y nonfiction books. Mostly I've sort of been I've been reading memoirs to start with, essays, and then social issues and culture, things like that. So it's a very new thing for me to read in science, and in particular science outside of the natural history aspects. So this was definitely outside of my comfort zone, but I'm really glad that I got to it, and hopefully I can continue to explore new branches of nonfiction, and in particular science nonfiction, in 2019. The third question is how many books did you reread in 2018? So I will say six and a half books. I reread a lot of old favorites and some classics and everything, which I really enjoyed. Rereading pretty much everything I reread I really enjoyed. The half thing is that I read Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury for the first time this year, and directly after finishing it, I went back and read the first half of the book again. So that is why I'm saying half, because I didn't actually finish the rereading. The fourth question is favorite reread of 2018, and that is probably The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien, mainly because I reread this with Mary from Books and Pizza, and I really enjoyed the experience of reading it together with someone. I think in general it was my first like official buddy read on BookTube. It is more serious than I remembered it, and like more is at stake in this book, and especially I enjoyed this much more than The Hobbit upon a rereading. The fifth question is a book you read for the first time in 2018 that you look forward to rereading in the future. So I have 2 for this. One of them is an obvious one, and it's going back to the favorites video, and it is We've Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. This was my favorite book of the year. In general, I'm definitely planning on rereading a lot of Shirley Jackson's books in the future, so So that was an obvious one for me. But another thing that I'm really looking forward to rereading in the future is Nevermoor by Jessica Townsend. It is a lot to do with the format I consumed this. I listened to the audiobook narrated by Gemma Whelan, and I discovered her as a narrator this year and fell in love with her narration. She is a fantastic audiobook narrator. So if you haven't listened to the Nevermoor series through the audiobooks, I would highly recommend looking them up, because she does the voices and everything like any audiobook narrator would, but she adds sighs and she adds like pauses and tone in her narration that really adds something aside from the like dialects and everything that that changes with the characters. There's also so much personality through the way they talk. So I enjoyed Nevermoor in the audio so much that I know I will be re-listening to the audiobooks in the future, kind of like how people re-listen to the audiobooks of the Harry Potter series frequently. I think Nevermoor could easily become one of those series for me. So yeah, that is another one I'm looking forward to rereading in the future. The sixth question is favorite single, short story or novella you read in 2018. So I had a hard time sort of pinpointing this, because I don't think I've read a lot of short story collections, but the ones I had, I enjoyed a lot of them. But two comes to mind. So in the Lonesome Bodybuilder, there's a short story called An Exotic Marriage, and it's one of the strangest things I've read this year, definitely, and one of the strangest things I read just full stop. So it is one of the stories that really lingers with me from that collection, and I think one of the things that really sort of confirmed the fact that Yukiko Motoya is one of those authors to have an eye on for future writing, because she's just such a fantastic and imaginative writer. So that one was amazing and very disturbing, which could be said also for the other one that I've chosen. So if you enjoy Wes Anderson, I think you will definitely like Agata's Machine. It's definitely very strange and almost off-putting, but so interesting and fun, I guess. It's fun for me because I like stories that really make me think and that turn everything upside down, and this collection in general has a lot of those. So both these collections, this one and the Lonesome Bodybuilder, have a lot of good gems in them. The seventh question is Mass Appeal, a book you liked and would recommend to a wide variety of readers. First up, I have sort of an honorable mention. It is a Swedish book, and I don't think it has been translated into English yet, but I'm really hoping it will be in the future, and that is Grävlings Resa by Cecilia Heikkilä. This is a Swedish picture book that came out this year, and it is fantastic. It's about a badger who has sort of settled down on an island, and he was sort of an adventurer as a young man, but grew really comfortable on this island on his own, and then through circumstances he is swept up on a journey together with another animal, and it is just a ton of fun, and the illustrations are so wonderful. It really captures light in beautiful ways. I mean, it is stunning and it is beautiful, both as a story and as art. And the other book that I have for this is The Salt Path by Raynor Winn. I know this has been super popular this year because the review I did for this in regard to the Wainwright Prize is one of the most watched videos I have, at least from this year. And it is basically a memoir of Raynor Winn and her husband going on a really long walk along the coastal side of the UK. I don't really know exactly where this is, but it's a very long walk, and they hike through various terrains, and it's about their walking and the places that they see along the way, and the journey, and the joy of traveling, and the beauty of nature, and even the almost scary aspects of nature. It's also about homelessness. Raynor, Winn and her husband lose their home, and she starts writing the book when they've lost a lot of things, and her husband has found out that he has an incurable illness. So they're trying to sort of come to terms with their new life through this walking, and it is a beautiful nature book, but also just a book with a lot of relatable things about life and about the changes in life and some of the things that we can't control, and how this is probably the most relatable book I read this year in terms of a general sense, like the mass appeal. So I think definitely if you've been interested in this book, definitely recommend picking it up. The 8th question is specialized appeal. A book you liked but would be hesitant to recommend to just anyone. Beside the Sea by Veronique Olmi is a fantastic novella, I would say. It's about motherhood, and I would especially recommend this book for people who love Samantha Schweblin's writing on the fears of being a mother and the challenges of motherhood and of being a parent. I would also really recommend it to people who love Cesar Era's writing. I've only read one of his books, How I Became a Nun, but it is the darkness in both Schweblin and Era's writing is what reminded me of Olmi, and sort of the parallels. All of these three writers share the darkness in their writing in very poignant ways. So I think if you like any of those authors, you'd probably like the other ones. The 9th and last question is reflect on your year as a bookish content creator. Goals met, good, bad memories, favorite videos you made, etc. So for me, 2 things really stand out for 2018 in terms of BookTube. The first one is that I did the Wainwright Prize shortlist reading and did a review for every book that I read of the shortlist, which I had a lot of fun doing, and is something that really spurred me on thinking about what I read and how I did reviews. And also following a time limit was something that I actually really enjoyed. I don't think I really enjoy prescripted reading if it is with too big goals, but with the shortlist I found it very I found it manageable. So I had a lot of fun reading through the shortlist, and that is something I definitely want to do again. If I can, I would definitely want to do that in 2019 as well. Another thing that I have done this year is that I have uploaded a video every single week, as far as I can remember, which has been a new thing for me because I started BookTube in 2015 or 2016, but I had a lot of gaps in the beginning because of school and just not really finding that routine. So I had a lot of gaps and felt like I couldn't really get into it as deeply as I wanted to. I never got as comfortable as I could because of that irregularity. So this year I made it sort of a point to upload at least once every week, and I feel like it has really helped in making me more comfortable with talking in front of a camera, editing myself, sharing my own thoughts, and being more confident in my thoughts and my taste and my opinions, and also sort of trying to figure out what I want to bring to BookTube. So I've had a lot of fun just sort of just doing BookTube regularly and constantly trying to find, constantly trying to do things that are meaningful to me, I guess. This year I've also gotten to know a lot of amazing people, and this channel has grown a lot since the beginning of the year, and that is definitely thanks to very generous shout outs this year from A Book Olive and from Katie from Books and Things, from Kate Howe. I'm really thankful, and I would definitely like to do a shout out video in the upcoming year. But yeah, it's just been a fun year for me, and sort of figuring out what I like both in doing videos and what I want to share, but also figuring out my taste in reading and how I read, how I approach reading. So I hope that that has come across in my videos. But yeah, I wanted to make this video today because I wanted to wish you all a happy new year, and I hope you've had a fantastic year this 2018 and that you're looking forward to the new year. I hope you're having a wonderful evening and start of the new year, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.